This thing is stupid. Stick around. Everybody, welcome back to the garage, and if you're new to the channel, listen, go click that subscribe button. You're going to learn all about this truck, and if you go back to all of our playlists, which you can find at tuning101.com, you can learn how to tune something like this yourself. All the information I have put out there has gone into tuning this vehicle. So a little bit more about the Silverado. If you're new and have not followed along, this is a 2015 regular cab short bed, L83 platform with a ProCharger F1A supercharger, making a little over 20 pounds of boost, probably closer to 25. Built bottom end, Holley high ram, auxiliary fuel system controlled by a micro squirt, nitrous express plate system on it, turbo 400 reverse body transmission with a trans brake, carbon fiber drive shaft, QA1 coilovers on all four corners, custom 4-link suspension on it. This thing is done to the T, and it is finally to the point where we can go out and do some ripping on it. And so we're going to do a quick video of just going out and having some fun, because we've done so many videos on a lot of the technical stuff lately. Now it's time to kind of enjoy the fruits of our labors before we get it out to the track. Now I'll tell you right now, the way it's set up, it's almost uncontrollable on the street. This thing will rip the tires loose 50, 60 miles an hour like it's nothing. So we won't be doing a lot of full throttle stuff because it's just not feasible. It makes way too much power. But we're going to go for a ride. That way you guys can see what's going on with the Silverado. I haven't updated you guys in a while. We got a couple things that still need to be buttoned up on it, but for right now, this thing is very drivable, very fun, and really, really fast. I have owned a lot of fast cars in my day, and this is by far the scariest thing I've ever driven. Okay, we'll give this thing a couple minutes to warm up here, a couple seconds. We'll go over what all we've got going on here. Hurst quarter stick, trans temp, enable switch for the trans brake. We've got two steering wheel buttons. One of them activates the trans brake, nitrous express, a line lock if you want to use a line lock, and a two-step, which isn't hooked up right now. I have to add that back in. Then the other button is for the bump box, which we have the smooth stage bump box installed underneath here. So if we flip that on, you can see the activation light. This blue light right here is solely for the micro squirt to let me know that it is powered up. That way I don't go out and do a rip without it powered up. On top of it, we've got the AEM wideband failsafe gauge. Normally is tied back to the Lingenfelter two-step timing cut. I'm also going to be adding a warning light on there that will trigger whenever we're going lean. That way if I'm going down the track, I'll know. We do have a shift light. This is being controlled by the micro squirt also, based on, so we can adjust the RPMs, and then boost and methanol injection flow rates. So that's kind of what's going on here. We got some heat into the engine. Let's take this thing for a spin. And that's traction control kicking in on the 1 to 2nd shift. So I'll go ahead and toggle off traction control. Now, I've been working on the tune on this thing for quite a while. Right now, it's basically in a mass airflow only tune, even though the VE table has been dialed in. So the VE table is pretty close to where it needs to be in order to run this thing in dynamic airflow. And even whenever we do that, though, given this setup, we will run it at a pretty low dynamic airflow setting. So we'll probably pick over to MAF only at, I don't know, 1,400, 1,500 RPMs. Some of the other things, I've got Corbeau seats. They're just the Forzas in here. I'm running an RCI harness to the harness bar back here. You know, just basic safety stuff. Might be able to get me down into the 10s without getting kicked off the track, but based on how this thing's running, it's not going to be an issue to get kicked off the track by running into 9s. So we'll go from there. Now, I've been working on the throttle side of things a lot lately to try and get this thing where it's not so jerky in first gear, because rest assured, there for a while, the throttle was way too responsive. It's doing a lot better now. So pretty happy with how it's going. The big issue I'm having right now is this thing just drinks gasoline. I've got a 15-gallon Aeromotive Stealth fuel cell with an upgraded 525 liters per hour pump in it. And even, you know, with all that going on with the auxiliary fueling setup and stuff, it just goes through 15 gallons super quick on E85. We are running basically straight E85 on this thing now. Love the Turbo 400. Cannot say enough about how great of a modification the Turbo 400 has been. Just from the power standpoint, we've reduced so much inertia in the drivetrain. This thing responds so much faster. And I'm not worried about it blowing up whenever I put power to it, whereas in the past, I'm always a little bit sketched out by the 6L80. Said, not a big ordeal to just spin the tires loose at any time in this thing. Now, given we've got 342s in the rear end ratio on this thing, it does run a little high on the highway. Not something you really want to do 70 mile an hour in. Not the end of the world though. You know, we will see how it likes that at the track. That should put us at 150, so it should give us plenty of room left on the transmission in third gear. You know, we're not going to be trapping 150 anytime soon in this thing, but if need be, we can always run down to a longer gear set. Woo! Man, this thing just goes. See if we can get some open road here to have some fun. Woo! Yeah, that would spin the tires all the way up to about 70 there. Man, and that's only about 18, 19 PSI that we were hitting. As I said, this thing's capable of probably about 24 to 25. There's 22 just right there. Got a little bit of a misfire on cylinder 1 that I've got to track down. It's intermittent. We'll get it sorted out though. It's not enough to actually fill any power. Might as well try and leave off the trans brake here. Okay. Woo! Not a lot of use on her on these roads. No traction whatsoever. Ah, man, this thing's a beast. I tell you, that 4-link is just so great. The way that it puts power to the ground, there's no axle tramp, hop, anything like that. Smooth and very controllable. Even back there, whenever we left off the trans brake, went from first straight into second on the shift and just kept on spinning the tires all the way out up to 70. No issues keeping this thing under control. It just works so well. I'm anxious to get it out to the track and dial in the compression and rebound a little bit better. So it's, I'm telling you, this truck is ready to go. So there you have it. This truck has just gotten a bit too much for the streets. I'm anxious to get it out to the track, anxious to get it on the dyno, see what kind of numbers we're putting down. We've got to be close to our goal of 1,000 on this thing. It is just making gobs of power. As you can see, we were hitting over 20 PSI and we just got room to go. So if we're hitting 20 PSI by $5,000, by the time we hit 6,000 or 6,500, we're gonna be up there in the mid 20s at least. and that should put us pretty close to what we're shooting for, not to mention that we have such an optimized drivetrain underneath this thing. So big shout out to everybody that's made this possible, the patrons out there. Check out our Patreon at goatropegarage.com. It's a good place to get tuning assistance. All of our sponsors, ICT Billet, Nitrous Express, Snow Performance, Bench Force. Who else am I forgetting? I mean, just check the description down below. Check out everybody that has helped to make this possible. And this is quite possibly one of the meanest trucks on the street right now. I'm anxious to go out and embarrass some people, take it out to the drag strip, and finally get a pass in. So you're gonna have to stick around. That's gonna be coming real soon. But for now, I gotta get back to work. You know the drill. Thanks for stopping by the garage, and remember, ABT, always be tuning.